We're your hosts. I'm Coach Jay.
And I'm Shatima. And thank you so much for tuning into this special edition of
The Watson Verdict,
where we give you guys real life solutions to your everyday marriage disputes.
Yeah, and we have a good one for you guys. And I'm almost positive that we all deal with it, right? It's something that we've been seeing on social media, a post that we saw on social media, but then also too something that we've experienced in our own relationships. So we know that you guys, without a doubt, we know you all deal with it as well.
Yes, definitely.
So, before we get into our episode for today, can I tell you how beautiful you look?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can I tell you how handsome you look?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I appreciate it. And let me tell you guys this, right? If no matter how long you've been together, don't forsake or overlook the importance of having date nights. Last time we went out, we had a great time. It wasn't anything super amazing or anything special. Well, I'm not gonna say it wasn't anything special, but it wasn't. It wasn't like extremely extravagant or anything like that. But it makes a difference, because we all have busy schedules, busy lives. We have 6 kids. I'm sure you all know, businesses, all of that stuff, right? And it's super super busy, but we
Intentional.
yeah, I say because I was gonna say at one point we used to do it more regularly, and we're trying to get back into the routine of having our date nights more often. But we absolutely see the difference that it makes. It just the connection and the I'm gonna say the overall unity, the friendship, and just being able to enjoy each other. It makes a difference. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It could be something small, but just make sure you guys do it. What was your perspective of it?
Definitely. Well, you know me, like first of all, in the winter, sometimes I don't feel like going out because it's super cold. So
she hibernates in the winter.
Yes, I like to just stay in my little cocoon at home. But Jason, he was like, "No, we're gonna go out because we want to be more intentional this year. Start back being more intentional about our date nights."
Yeah.
So you know what? I was like, "Let me get myself together. Let me get cute." And yeah, we went out. We had a great time. We went to a cute little Mexican.
No, it was. We say Latin. Well,
Okay.
it was a Latin.
Yes.
It was a Latin. Latin restaurant.
Yes.
The vibe. It was nice. Nice vibe. Live music.
Yep. The live Latin music. The food was good. Yeah, so that was great. And it was a great time to reconnect. Yeah, so that brings me to our debate that we're going to be discussing today. We have a couple that we saw on social media. They were pretty much debating about, well, not even debating, they just was highlighting the fact that as women, we absolutely hate for our husband to ask us for sex. And I know for me, I can't speak for all women, but I know for me, I want you to ask me. I feel like it ruins the mood. So anywho, that's what we're going to be giving a verdict on today. Whether or not, well, who's wrong and who's right.
Okay.
In this situation.
Yeah, and I like for women to chime in too to see if some women don't mind being, some women don't mind being asked, or if it's just an overall thing in general where women or wives they don't like being asked for sex. So chime in the comments and maybe the husbands, if you don't like being asked for sex, put that in there too. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear the feedback.
Okay.
I don't know. It might be, it might be some husbands that don't want to be asked. Just let it happen naturally. So,
well, yeah, I guess for me, yes, I want it to happen naturally. Like I can't say right now. Remember what I told you? I just rather you do, but I won't say that right now.
Why not?
I mean, you can say it.
Babe, you said it. You the one that you wanted, so you say it.
I told him I don't want you to ask me. I'd rather you just pull my panties down.
Yeah. I mean, and so okay, so and I'm all for that 100%. I don't mind. Right. So the debate was saying this, right? So giving the woman's perspective, the woman was saying that she doesn't like to be asked because she feels like it turns it into a duty or and a chore, and it kind of ruins the mood. And
he has to constantly now be like thinking about like, okay, I'm gonna have to do this. Like later I'm gonna have to do this. Like
yes,
back of her mind.
So she feels like it's now an obligation versus it just happening naturally. And then the husband's perspective was he said that he was saying, and I agree along the lines of this. So he was saying that he feels like it doesn't happen naturally, right? So pretty much he's setting himself up for failure. So he's in his mind, he's like wanting it to happen, and he's thinking like, oh yeah, he's looking forward to it. And then when you get to the moment of it, where you're like, hey, just let it happen naturally. It's like record, yeah, screech, and then it doesn't happen. So and now it kind of puts him in a frustrated situation. Like, man,
Okay,
you
so
said
you
to let
see
it happen
how
naturally, and it didn't happen.
can I object, please? Okay, so you see how y'all have the screech moment, like when you're, I guess, anticipating it, and then you try it, it doesn't happen. For us, it's the screech moment when y'all like, can I get some more? And you ask, it's like screech. Like now, okay, now even if I wasn't moved, I'm not in the mood. And I'm not saying that's how it always is, but for the most part, it's like I would prefer for it to happen naturally. And I think it's because, yes, as a woman, when you ask me now, that's just another thing on my list that I'm gonna have to fulfill. And I know it shouldn't be like that. We shouldn't think of it as a duty to fulfill, but sometimes, just being real, that's how it feels when you're not in the mood. If you've had a long day, we're like, okay, we still got to take care of my husband.
Interesting perspective. Interesting perspective.
So, what is your ruling? What is the ruling on?
What is my opinion?
No, we have to come to a ruling. A ruling. Should the man ask, or should he just let it happen naturally?
Why are we coming to the ruling so quickly?
Oh, okay.
The ruling's supposed to come toward the end.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So we need to be building the case.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay. So from my perspective, I am in agreement with the husband, because I feel like, and I'm just building a supporting case to try to help the wife see the perspective of the husband that feels like this is a rejection, and also it is a letdown. It is a frustrating situation when you're looking forward to it and it doesn't necessarily happen, because as the husband was stating, and I could definitely see where he's coming from with this, because he was saying like, yeah, he understands that there's a long list of things on his wife's plate, and he actually chips in to try to help and take those things off your plate. And then he's like, and then it still doesn't happen. So he's like, I of course understand that you might not be in the mood. Okay, we get it. What about those times where we chip in, try to help to take those things off your plate? Not necessarily so that it'll make like a guarantee for sex or anything like that, but it just lightens the load to where you may possibly be more in the mood to do it later on. What about those times, and then it still gets rejected? You just want to punch somebody. You don't just start breaking, not punch your wife, but you just want to start breaking stuff. And husbands, you know what I'm talking about, where it's like, oh my gosh.
Okay. To object to that, I get that, but at the same time, that's literally how it feels when your husband, when he wants sex, but you're not in the mood. But it's sometimes just like, oh my gosh, I literally just want to go to sleep. I don't like really, but it's like, and we feel that way too, because we don't want to reject y'all. It's like, now I gotta, now I have to make him possibly feel rejected if I say no, So it's just a myriad of things that we have to, that we consider. We do consider, it's not, well, I know I do. I'm not saying it's all about just whether I want it or not. But back to the matter at hand.
Should a man ask, or should he not ask?
To ask or not to
ask? Should a husband ask, or should a husband not ask, and just let it happen naturally? Even if he's tried to let it happen naturally and he's been let down time and time and time and time again.
Babe, but not every single time is like that.
No, but I'm just saying.
So that's what I'm saying. So if your wife, ultimately you're asking, it's kind of like she's the one who you have to get it from, right? So if she's the one who's expressing, hey, I would prefer it to work. What I'm saying is, why not listen if that's what she's telling you?
I didn't say not listen. I said because we listen, and then we try to let it happen. Absolutely. Yeah, because this is my perspective on this, right?
I'm telling them.
So this is my perspective on this, respectfully. It's not all about the way that the wife wants it to be, respectfully. Yeah. So if a husband was like, look, I like the anticipation of knowing that it's going down tonight. Get I don't see anything wrong with that, as far as, hey, if it's not asking, somehow, some way, let your husband know that, hey, you know what? It's going down tonight. So if that way he don't have to ask, right? In some way. So I feel like it needs to be a so this is my perspective. This is my take on it. I guess my overall ruling, Coach Jay's grand overall ruling, that
Well, before you get to that, let me just say this. I know I can't speak for all wives, but I know for me, I know in the morning I can be feeling one way, and by the time the evening gets there, I'm not feeling that same way. So I don't want to get your hopes up, if that makes sense. By telling you, oh, it's going down tonight, and then by the time the night get there, I'm like, so that's sometimes why I prefer not to. But I get what you're saying.
yeah, because if you tell your boss I'm gonna be there at this particular time, you can't say I didn't feel like being there at that time. That's why I didn't show up.
Yes, I understand. I understand.
You know, wise. I hear you, wise. But why is it less of a priority because you don't feel like it anymore? When you make other commitments that you don't feel like doing, you still do it because you made the commitment.
I just have to say, for a man, right? That's easy for y'all to say, but it's like, would you want somebody ramming in you if you're just not in the mood for it?
So I say, well, okay, well, if we're talking about in
And
terms of,
excuse my bluntness, but it's really that's how it feels. Like when you don't want it, like it's just.
yeah, I get it. You know, I get it.
Mhm.
I get it. So I say, I just feel like overall we just do things. We just, just follow through with the things that we commit to, even if we don't feel like it.
Yeah.
Even if we're not in the mood for it. That's just my perspective on it, because there's things, even as a husband, not necessarily sexual, right? Because that's something that comes natural to us. So I say maybe on an emotional level, or empathy, sensitivity, things of that nature. Like, you may not necessarily feel like it at the time. Like, let's say you're in a situation to where you don't feel like responding in a sensitive way. You don't feel like it, but you're like, that's what's best. That's the best thing for me to do right now. So let me be sensitive. Let me respond sensitively. And the reason I say that is because I know that that's something that husbands can relate to. Not saying that it's right or wrong to respond harsh or mean, or you know what I'm saying. Not saying that, but I just know that that's something that husbands can relate to, because sometimes we're like, I just want to just say it, just be blunt with it. You don't have to sugarcoat it, empathize, or be sensitive about it, but you just do it because that's just how men, that's just how we deal with each other, so but that's natural for us, but we know that we have to not be that way when we're dealing with our wives,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just us operating outside of our natural selves, the way that God made us to be. Sometimes it can be hard and cold, and come off as being
The
a
Lord
jerk.
told y'all to be gentle with us for a reason and not to be harsh with us for a reason. But that's getting on a whole nother. So I would say my closing argument is that when it comes to this, it should be a meeting in the middle. I don't think it should go either way, because at the end of the day, it's two people in a marriage. And the verse that I want to supply to you guys to support that is, hold on, let me get it. Okay, 2 Corinthians 10:5. Because at first I was thinking like, I need to, what verse can I connect to this that deals with sexuality and marriage or whatever. But ultimately, 2 Corinthians 10:5 is what came to mind. We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. So in that sense,
That's a good one.
yes, because in that sense, and with this type of situation, I don't feel like there is a black and white. I feel like there is room for a gray area. So since there is room for a gray area, we need to ask Christ, okay, Lord, you got my thoughts in this. Because I know some days as a wife, my thoughts aren't always aligned with Christ's thoughts as they should be as it pertains to my husband, because I could just be simply tired that day, or I could be tired that day. I could just be not even necessarily in the best of mood. It could just be a myriad of things that, may derail me off of, the thinking that Christ has for me for that day. Even especially in a situation when it comes to the debate of, whether or not he should, I prefer him to ask for sex or not. Even though it's a personal preference, we still should seek to align even our personal preferences, I feel, with what Christ says, with how he would have for us to think in that situation, how he would have for us to act in a certain situation. So yeah, that's my verse. That's my closing argument is, that we should pray to take every thought captive. Even so, in this situation, that day, it may be the Lord's will for us to, hey, y'all plan it. Give your husband that thought of anticipation for the day, for the day. That may be, the assignment for you, for your husband for that day. But sometimes we are so deep in our own thoughts and everything we have going on, we might miss it. Even something as small as that. So yes, that's my closing verse for this topic.
Yeah, I like that. That's
Thank
nice.
you. Can't take mine.
Oh no, trust me, I got my own. But what I wanted to say though is that I like what you said as far as not there not being a black and a white, but a gray area because married couples there's fun in the gray area. Oftentimes we like to think like, oh man, it has to be this way or that way, but the gray area can be creative and it can be passionate, it can be spicy, and it can be enjoyable. Meeting in the middle and being able to make sure that both people get what they need in that. So I like that because yeah, I say the gray area can be a creative space for enjoyment in marriage. It doesn't have to be look one way or another.
Paint a new color together.
Yeah. What something that works for the both of you, but make sure that both people's needs are respected and met. So I want to I actually have two verses, then I have some like clinical background to this as well. So I want to touch on two things that I want us to remember in marriage is that I've got First Corinthians 7, verse 4, and it talks about our bodies not belonging to us, but actually not only to you, but it belongs to your spouse as well, specifically for meeting their physical needs. So rightfully so, and I'm not talking about if it's like pain, discomfort, ailments, illnesses, stuff like let's be reasonable,
That takes me back. I wanted to say when I talk about the ramming, I'm not talking about a husband forcing his wife to have sex. No, I was just saying like a metaphor.
Yeah, like yeah, the action.
Yeah.
Yeah. So remember that our bodies don't belong to us. Well, not only to us, but also to our spouse for meeting their physical needs as well. So keep that in mind. It's as well, like I don't feel like it. I'm not in the mood. There's nowhere else where your spouse could get that need met. And then I've got another verse too, Philippians 2, 3 and 4, and it talks about valuing the interests of others above your own. So and that could go both ways. You know what I'm saying? That could go both ways because just because you're in the mood and you feel like this should happen this way or that way, and your spouse isn't in the mood, that doesn't necessarily mean that your needs are more important than theirs at the time, right? But if we are seeking to meet the needs of each other above our own needs, that
cancel it.
yeah, that sounds like the ultimate marriage. Where two spouses are like, it's not about what I want, but it's about what you want. And if both spouses are like, it's not about what I want, but it's about what you want, and about us having fun in the gray area and being creative within that space, man, that's an amazing thing. So I just want to leave those with you. And then also clinical research that was done by John Gottman. He's a famous relationship expert. You guys can look him up. Famous, super famous. So he talks about husbands actually having more sex long term over time throughout the duration of their marriage, more fulfilling sex when they respond positively to not their wife's rejection, but to their wives not being in the mood. So because she's not in the mood, it doesn't give you the green light to be mad. Of course, you might be, yeah, of course, or to emotionally disconnect because over time that takes a toll on your marriage. But if you respond in a more positive way, studies show that you actually have more fulfilling sex with your wife. As a man, yeah. So as a married husband, so keep these things in mind. You know, I understand, brothers, sometimes it can be frustrating, but be mindful of what, okay, if your wife is not in the mood, just be mindful. Talk, you know, try to be creative. Okay, if you're not in the mood for maybe, okay, it might not be penetration. You might not be in the mood to be penetrated. You know, hey, I mean, what's up? Like, what can we do? You know what I'm saying? Like, be creative and don't necessarily emotionally withdraw from your wife because she's not in the mood, or start
Yes.
being a jerk, or being harsh, or being mean, but still try to keep that emotional connection and be creative.
And I will say too, ladies, it's important, especially as we get older, to like, get ourselves checked out because it could be something hormonal going on. And not to get off on a tangent with that, but I mean, yeah, it could just be something hormonal going on that you can easily get fixed, and it can alleviate some of the strife or a debate that you have regarding sex, because I see it's a really big debate topic in marriage still today, regarding sex and pretty much finding that balance between couples. So yeah.
Okay, let me share two things that came to mind. One thing that an older guy shared with me, he's been married. He actually wrote a marriage book. And he's been married for, I think he said, like 30 something plus years. And he told me that to keep in mind that oftentimes in marriage, your wife will be able to do it longer than you can. Because, as we get older as men, that there are times where it seems, I've heard this, I'm not sure how true it is, that the wife's sex drive is higher.
Yeah,
But
I've
then,
heard that.
yeah, but then as men get older, their sex drive reduces, and also their ability to perform goes down. So keep these things in mind, because the
Yeah,
roles,
she got
yeah,
tricked too.
the roles might be reversed if you are in a position to where you aren't able to perform,
Yeah.
and then she's looking at, like, hey, now you're the one that's not coming
Yeah.
through on that end. So keep those things in mind. And then another one that someone had told me, he's now recently divorced for a few years, but he told me that one thing that he regrets in his marriage that was a source of contention, and he regrets making sex a source of contention, because he said at the end of the day it really wasn't that serious. Not saying that it's not important, but he told me that he was like, it I used it at times as a source of contention, a source of division, and it didn't have to be like that. And that was one thing that he told me that he regrets in his marriage. Well, he's not divorced, but that's what he regrets. So just keep these things in mind.
I mean, and too, it's like when you really think about it, when the couples, if the goal is to be together till old age, it's gonna most likely come to a point where y'all can't have sex. Just being realistic, like, so what's gonna happen then?
Yeah.
So that's why you don't want to predicate your relationship on the amount of sex you have. Of course, sex is very important. Now, if you're married and young, you don't have no issue, no like health issues and stuff, and you should be having sex. I mean, bottom line, you should be having sex.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. As much as
Regardless whether you
possible.
got kids or what, get it in some way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but definitely. So yeah, we love sex. Wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah, we do.
No, what I'm saying is,
So you don't have to take it back. It's
no, I don't take it back. What I'm saying is, it didn't come out the way I was like.
It's okay.
What I'm saying is, we're all for the institution of
Healthy sex life
Yes.
in marriage. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
100%. Yeah.
It's imperative.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not the most important thing.
Yeah.
Meeting the needs of your spouse and respecting their needs, and making sure that both people are fulfilled in the relationship. So if it's an area where you feel like it's a lack of and something you like more of, that needs to be addressed and respected as well. If it's something maybe you need less of, but the overall importance of it that I try to stress is just making sure that both people are fulfilled and everybody's needs are respected in the marriage.
Yes.
Because that's what's going to hold you and keep you over time.
So the verdict, I will order them mediation to meet in the middle.
Yeah, I say meet in the middle, and if you can't figure it out, get in touch with Coach Jay. I'll help you work through it. Yeah, but yeah, shameless plug. But definitely, yeah, meet in the middle, because I continue to stress that a marriage is supposed to be a fulfilling institution for both people.
Yeah.
Not where one person gets what they want and feels resentful towards their spouse because their needs are not being met. That's not, so either your marriage is going to end, or you'll live a unfulfilled relationship. You know, so that's my verdict.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, we order you guys to meet in the middle and to work it out that way.
Yeah, because no one person's needs are more important than the other.
Yes. So maybe wife say yes more when he doesn't ask but just tries to instead initiate it, and maybe that'll in turn lead to him asking less, which is what you would prefer, and him just spontaneously initiate it.
Or be creative. I say maybe some signals, signs, clues, or some, hints. Something. It could be. I see a post talking about what the wife wears to bed, and then they'll say maybe, or that absolutely not, or it's a possibility. You know what I'm saying? Or oh yeah, it's going down. So it can be fun. You have fun and just make it whatever you guys want it to be, or whatever it looks like.
Definitely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We love you all. Again, this is the Nitty Gritty. I'm your host, Shatima.
And it's your guy, Coach J.
Bye.